Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carly, and thank you for joining us today for our second event, Yields and Investment at Byron. Today, we aim to provide you with a complete overview of how Byron could be the perfect investment for you in 2021. I'm going to hand you over to my colleague, Lee Hustle, and he's joined by Andrew Haynes, who will be delivering this event and answering all your questions today. So over to you, Lee.
Yeah, thank you, Carly, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for giving up your valuable time this afternoon and joining us for, as Carly says, our second instalment on the Byron presentation. For those of you that did join us pre-Christmas, you'll know that these events hopefully are full of useful information about the Byron development and everything that offers, because there are some really unique ideas at Byron and a really unique offering that really does set the development apart from anything else that we have in our area. As Carly says, I'm joined today by Andrew Haynes of Together Financial Solutions. They're our mortgage and financial services company. So Andy will be able to talk to us in a little bit more detail about how the financing of these apartments can work and what the sort of costs associated with that will be. I've got an agenda which I just want to pop up on the screen, if I may, just to sort of give you a little bit more of an idea as to what we're going to run through today. So if I can just do that a second, and then I can just talk around that. So as you'll see from our agenda there, so we have this series and we are using the letters of Byron as the theme. So today we're on Y, which stands for yields and investment. And today's very rough agenda then, and we'll talk around various ideas as we go through here. So we'll talk a little bit more detail about buying for investment at Byron, and then we can talk about some of the features and the facilities that the development has. As I said at the top of the conversation here, the development is somewhat unique in its offering, so it's important that we highlight those unique points that the development can offer you. We'll talk about the holiday letting income potential and the holiday letting service that's available at Byron. That is one of its USPs. And then we'll switch to Andy, and Andy can talk to you about mortgages and the financial costs of a purchase of such a type at Byron. We can talk to you a little bit about capital allowances. Capital allowances is a little known tax incentive that allows you to offset the plant and machinery, the makeup of the building, against your tax, which again is something which will be, I'm sure, of interest to you. And then I think it's important that you get an idea of what a typical apartment looks like at Byron as well. You know, we're in this horrible lockdown situation at the moment where we know travelling around is a little bit more difficult. So we can actually show you virtually, you know, what an apartment consists of and what to typically expect from your apartment. And then I believe we've got some questions that have already come in for us to answer. And likewise, if you've got any questions that you want to fire at us during this event, you can actually type those in and they will pop up, and Carly will fire those to us a little bit later on during the question and answer session. Good, okay, so yields and investments and how that sort of relates to Byron. So the development consists of 57 very high quality apartments. They are a mixture of 1, 2, 3 and 4 bedroom units, a lot of which are now sold, so we're well through the sales effort there, and there's a lot of properties that are currently occupied, either as permanent homes, second homes, or furnished holiday lets. The majority of the properties of Byron are being used as furnished holiday lets. So we've got some really good data and really good proof now in the marketplace to show that these apartments are performing exceptionally well as investments and returning a really good level of income for the people who have bought there. There's a lot of mixed use going on. A lot of our buyers are opting to use them themselves for holidays when they're allowed to, of course. And obviously at this present moment in time, that's been a lot more difficult because of the lockdown period. And equally, they are deriving really good incomes from the development as a result of their investments that they're making. So there's a lot of unique facilities at Byron which will help attract your potential holidaymaker guests. And those facilities are there for the exclusive use in the main of just the people who are occupying the building at the time. One of the things that is open to the public there with Byron is a restaurant. There's a restaurant there called Brundle's, which is open for 365 days of the year. It is open to the public, but it is there as a facility for the development as well. So it's a really great way of being able to offer a facility all year round for people to enjoy as part of the Byron experience. We've got a swimming pool, which is part of the complex, and the swimming pool is for the exclusive use of the residents. So, you know, we're not blessed with the best weather in the UK. So, you know, when the weather's not so good, the pool is a fantastic asset when the beach perhaps isn't quite such a good option. Within the pool complex, there is a sauna, and there is also a small gymnasium and a treatment room as well, where you can have sort of spa treatments and things like that booked up in advance for yourself to enjoy or for your guests to enjoy. So, you know, we've thought of a lot of the unique facilities that people like to enjoy when they're away on holiday. The holiday letting service, I'll talk in a lot more detail about that in a second. Our next programme in the series actually does focus specifically on rentals and the rental management service. So be sure to tune into that one next month as well. But we will cover that in a little bit more detail today. So I think the best thing for me to do at this stage to introduce Byron in a really good way is we've got a video which is promoting Byron and Byron's facilities, Byron's location, because the location of the property is fantastic. It's smack bang in the centre of the village, and we use the slogan bed to beach in 4 minutes. And if you're fit and well and able, you can certainly get from your bed to the beach in 4 minutes. It's that close. So I'll play you the video now, which, as I say, will give you a really good introduction into what Byron is all about.
Are you looking for that perfect place to escape the rigours of busy urban life? Somewhere maybe close to one of the best beaches in the UK, somewhere with high income earning potential, a great investment perhaps. If you're looking for that sort of thing, you're in the right place. We're here at Byron. My name's Lee Hustle. I'm a director at Webbers, and I'll show you now. Here at Byron, there's a number of unique facilities that you just won't find in any other apartment block in North Devon. We've got a concierge that will always give you a cheery, happy, smiling face when you arrive. They'll be there to meet and greet your guests if you're letting your apartment out, or just to help you through the building on a day-to-day basis. We've got a swimming pool. The pool is there for the exclusive use of the residents only, and the pool is open daily and great for a rainy day. Within the pool complex, there's a sauna, so you can have a dip and then pop in the sauna afterwards and relax away. Across from the pool, we've got a gymnasium, and for those of you keen fitness addicts, you'll still be able to work out whilst you're down by the beach. Along with the leisure suite, we've also got a restaurant. Now, the restaurant is an integral part of the Byron setup. The restaurant there is open to the public, but it is there as a facility for the residents of the building. You can get a range of drinks and cocktails, and there's a fantastic terrace which enjoys fabulous views across, as I say, what is one of the best beaches in the country, as well as watching the sunset over Lundy Island. To top all of that, you know, for the kids, there is a games room here. So whilst you're waiting for your meal in the restaurant, maybe, the kids can still have fun. If you're looking for a high quality investment property, then Byron is certainly the place for you. There are some excellent yields to be had here. Somewhere between 8 and 12% is eminently achievable. The incomes are very high, so your property will actually be paying for itself within a very short space of time. The in-house letting service will deal with all of your needs. It will deal with your bookings, it will deal with your cleaning and your changeovers, so all the hassle is taken away from you. So Byron is conveniently situated close to so many things to do. We've already mentioned the fabulous 2.5 miles of golden sand surfing beaches. So if you're a surfer, it's a paradise for you. If you're a sunbather, it's a paradise for you too. Further afield from Woolacombe, North Devon has got a great deal to offer and a great deal to explore. There's some very pretty towns and villages, including Ilfracombe, which is just 4 miles away. It's a pretty harbour town, and on the pier is the Verity statue, which is the work of world-renowned artist Damien Hirst. Within the town, there's lots of high-quality restaurants, shops, bars and cafes. Further on again, you have Barnstable, which is the region's main centre and possibly the oldest borough in the UK. Within Barnstaple, there's a further range of shops, cafes, bars, restaurants, and a theatre with lots of shows for you to see and enjoy. So why buy at Byron? Well, you get a great package here. You get the close proximity to one of the best beaches in the UK. You've got a great modern contemporary apartment fitted with high quality fixtures throughout. You've got the high income earning potential from your rental, and there's great yields. So the apartment will be paying for itself in no time at all. There's lots to see and do in North Devon, lots to explore, and you'll have the time of your life.
So there we are. Hopefully that gives you a really nice idea of what the Byron complex, and I suppose more importantly, the Byron experience is all about, because it is an experience of Byron in terms of its unique offering. So today's theme, as we said earlier, is all about yields and investment. So in terms of investment, that will involve having to let your property to derive that income. We've got a couple of examples that we can show you in terms of some of the income that is possible for typical apartments within the Byron block. There are a number of different apartments still available for sale within the site at different prices, different sizes, and obviously they will return different amounts of potential income. But the two examples that we'll give you hopefully give you a general feel for what is possible there. So in terms of the holiday letting experience there, Byron offers a fully managed holiday letting service for you. Now the system basically deals with Byron and Byron alone. It doesn't deal with anything external other than the apartments within the building. So the people coming to the holiday letting service are exclusively looking to book a Byron apartment there. There are a number of apartments that they can choose from, and depending on the size of the booking, whether it's 2 people, whether it's 4 people, whether it's perhaps a couple of groups of families, there's normally an option that will suit that booking. So we've got some really good social proof there now. There's been a number of apartments that have been holiday let over the last few years, and we've had some difficult times in more recent times. But if you take the 3 months from the early part of July, so from the 4th of July, when the lockdown was opened up again by the government last year, through to the end of September, typical apartments within Byron were averaging about 93% occupancy levels, which is quite startling, across that period. The average income across that 3-month period was very much close to £20,000 for those apartments. So you can see that there is a really good way of earning. That's just in a 3-month period. So imagine if we were open for the entire year and you apply those same sort of statistics, what the income rates could be. Typically, we'll look at sort of 28 weeks as being eminently achievable for holiday bookings throughout the year. The reality is, and I think we all recognise the fact that with the COVID situation, that there'll be a lot more people holidaying in the UK for the foreseeable future. And also, the Brexit situation, I think it will be difficult for people to be jumping on planes anytime soon because of the pandemic. So holidaying in this country is going to be exceptionally popular over the next few years. So it could be the perfect time to invest in your second home down near the coast. Now, we know Woolacombe has had its popularity for many, many years. It's always been a very keen destination for people to come, primarily because of the fantastic beaches that we talked about in the video there. But there's lots of other things to do. You've got Exmoor National Park and all of the other facilities around. So just to give you a little bit of an idea on some of the incomes, I'll just get that shared on the screen with you as well, just to give you a bit more of an example as to what you might expect. So we've chosen 2 apartments that are readily available, within the Byron development at the moment. The various blocks within Byron are named, there's 5 different blocks, and they've all got slightly different names. So we've got Putsborough here and we've got Rockham here. So Putsborough 3, you'll see that that one is a 2-bedroom apartment. Incidentally, it doesn't say that on here, but that is a 2-bedroom apartment. It's within the sort of the garden area of the Byron development. The guide price on that one is £380,000. And we've worked through some figures that you could typically expect in different parts of the year through the season. So we've got the high season there, we've got the mid-range season there, and we've got the low range season there. So those are weekly tariffs at those different times of the year. And there'll be a number of weeks that are attributed to those particular tariffs. And that gives us the sort of the makeup of what the annual income potentially could be. So for Plattsburgh 3, for example, you're looking at a shade over £31,000 annually, based on 28 weeks of bookings. You'll see at the bottom there, we're basing this on 28 weeks. So we're not going for anything, that's elaborate. We're not going for anything that we can't see as achievable. And as I said to you, we've got proof that that is achievable based on what's been done so far, within the Byron development. So if you look over the next couple of years, for example, as Byron's popularity grows, as you start to get your repeat bookings up, you could easily start to see 30 plus weeks up to potentially 35 weeks. And we do have some 35-week predictions as well, for people to have a look at. So again, if there's interest following on from this presentation today, we can start to give you, lots of other figures as well as what we're showing you now in today's presentation. So if you base your income versus your guide price, you're getting yield of just over 8%. Now, I'm not sure of any other investments that seem to return that sort of level at this present moment in time. Certainly banks and building societies don't. Stocks and shares, you've got to be a brave man to dive into there at this present moment in time, or lady for that matter. Woolacombe 3, that's the slightly more expensive apartment. So we tried to go sort of both ends of the scale from Byron here to give a fair reflection of what to expect. So your outlay for Woolacombe 3 is a lot higher at 625, as you can see, but your return is obviously far greater as well. So your peak weekly rates 2,500, your mid-season 1,350, and then even in your low season you're still over £1,000 or around £1,000, giving you an annual income there of a shade over £47,000, and again your yield at 7.5%. So even still, very good rate of potential return there. And as I say, if these weeks can grow and we can do 30 plus weeks, your yields will become even better. So as I say, we're very confident that all of this is achievable from what we know of. Our lady who looks after the rental bookings, Olivia, she is on hand and will be available to talk to you about, a specific apartment, depending on what it is you decide to buy. But there's a big wide range of people that will want to come and stay at Byron. Woolacombe is very popular with families. It's very popular with couples. It's very popular with people that have got pets, because the development is pet friendly. There's multi-generations of families that might want to holiday together. There are groups that might want apartments next to each other, friends and things like that. Young professionals, National Trust members that might want to go along the Southwest Coastal Footpath and enjoy a lot of the walking in the area. People that just love the beach, surfers, and people that just want to have that beach holiday. So there's a number of people that can be targeted, and there's lots of marketing that the holiday letting service will look at to try and promote your apartment to its very best and maximise that income earning potential that the apartments no doubt have. So hopefully that gives you a little bit more idea on the holiday letting side of things there. I'll just jump back to our agenda again very briefly, just to sort of check on where we are at, because I think that covers the first 3 sections within our presentation today. So obviously, if you're buying a property at Byron, if you're fortunate enough to have the cash available, fantastic. But if you do need some finance, then we have a specialist on hand. We have my colleague here, Andy Haynes of Together Financial Solutions. They are a North Devon-based company, and because of our locality, we do have an awful lot of people buying for holiday homes and holiday investments. So Andy is extremely well versed in that part of the mortgage market. So I'll hand over to Andy now.
Hi Lee, thank you very much. Yes, the situation down at Byron with mortgaging wise, there are a number of holiday let mortgage companies that are available. Typically we are looking at deposits anywhere from 25% deposit through to 40% deposit required to secure mortgages on the properties. If we are looking at limited companies as well, which has proven to be quite popular with people, maybe a little bit more deposit is required on some of their applications, but both are available, purchasing through personal and through limited company. I've put together a few figures just on the two properties you mentioned, Putsborough and Woolacombe. Now, both of these I've worked on an interest rate of 3.5%, which is reasonably typical at the moment of holiday let interest rates. They're ranging from probably somewhere over 3%, just over 3%, up to 4.5% maybe. Every interest rate that's there is going to be based around people's personal circumstances. So depending on level of deposit, depending on that person's personal circumstances, whether they're limited company or whether it's personal purchases, all of those are going to impact on what that interest rate is going to actually be and what it's going to mean for each individual. But as you can see there, that if we were working on a 3.5% rate on the number 3 Putsborough, putting down a 30% deposit, so a 70% loan to value, that would give you mortgage payments somewhere in the region of £776 a month. That is on a interest-only mortgage. On the 3 Woolacombe, figures worked out exactly the same, 30% deposit, still working on a typical rate of 3.5%. And again, monthly payments this time coming out at £12.76 a month, again on an interest-only mortgage. We have got another slide, I believe, Lee, which will just give us an idea of how that will then impact on your rates of return.
Yeah, I'll just pop that one up for you, Andy. We did indeed. So just give me 1 second there. That one should be on the screen for you now.
Thank you very much. This will probably give you a little bit more insight into what those monthly payments mean to you. So again, sticking to the two examples, the Putsborough and the Woolacombe examples, 30% deposits there. We've annualised those mortgage costs, taken also into account service charge and ground rent costs. So that gives you your annual outlay. We've taken into account the rental income less the outgoings there, and that's giving a return on your 30% deposit investment, as you can see across both properties, somewhere in the region of 13 to 15% return. There are a few other costs that need to be borne in mind. There are a few additional running costs, electricity and things like that, that have not been taken into account in this calculation. And also there are acquisition costs which would affect your first year. But as you can see there, those are pretty impressive rates of return on investments, certainly better than banks and building societies as far as that's concerned.
Great, lovely. Thank you, Andy. That was, I'm sure, very useful for people there. I mean, I think it's fair to say that, generally speaking, you know, borrowing is still pretty good. I mean, it's still relatively straightforward from that point of view.
Yeah. So I mean, from the holiday let point of view, it's more of a tick box based exercise rather than the way a residential mortgage is arranged. So as long as people fulfil certain criteria, and they tend to be relatively consistent across the lenders, being homeowners, having the required level of deposit, whether that be 25%, 30 or 40% deposit. Minimum incomes, there are a requirement with some lenders out there to have a minimum personal income, and that's just purely there to cover rental voids, but again, that's not always required. And the rest of it is then down to the rental income, and providing that rental income is sufficient to cover the mortgage borrowing at the stress test that the lenders apply. and using the number of weeks that they are prepared to calculate it on at the moment, then the borrowing is taken care of by that rental income. And the fact that we have such significant income available from the Byron apartments has generally made that relatively straightforward.
Yeah, good. And typically then, obviously there's been a lot of press about, some mortgage lenders cutting back a little bit in recent times, but from the holiday let perspective, I understand there's still, a few good lenders out there that are practicing the holiday let finance for you.
Yes, indeed. It has been a market that has certainly swung a little bit over the last 12 months. It is a limited market in the first instance. That market did shrink a little bit after the initial COVID issues and lockdown, but certainly in recent months we've seen lenders coming back. Lenders are new back into the market. Last week alone we had a number of lenders coming back, and we've also seen this week some lenders who have stuck it out all the way through, but reduced their maximum loan to value. That has been increased as well this week.
Yeah, good news. So good news. So
definitely,
as we were saying earlier on, could be a good time now with hopefully the greater number of people that are looking to stay in this country to holiday let. Could be a good time to be investing.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So I did mention earlier on the capital allowance. So I just want to sort of share again with you an example of how capital allowance might work in terms of the investment at Byron. So just to give you a very brief idea on what capital allowance is all about. Incidentally, we do have specialists in this field who can talk to you far more eloquently than I can about this. But my knowledge of it basically will be that when you buy an apartment, if you're looking to use it as a furnished holiday let under certain criteria, you can use what they call the plant and the machinery. So effectively the makeup of the building, things like heating systems, lighting systems, all the fixed things, to give you a percentage of the transactional value that you can claim as a personal allowance against your tax. So typically at Byron, if you look at the way those percentages are calculated, and this example hopefully gives you a much clearer idea of it here. So we're using an example of one of the Woolacombe penthouses here. And if you take the purchase price at 525, you can add in your stamp duty cost, which in this particular instance, we've got the example here at £32,000. You can also add in your legal expenses, which again, if you said ballpark 1,500 quid, it gives you a total transactional value here of £558,500. Now, with the particular apartment that we're talking about, the Woolacombe penthouse, this has been assessed by a company who specialise in this field, a company called S-Tax. They do property tax and property tax alone. So they know what they're talking about. They send their surveyors down. They assess the plant and the machinery within the building to give this percentage. Now, as you'll see at the top of the screen here, 26.8% is the amount of the allowance claim here. So if we apply that to these figures that you have put into it as the transactional value, you get a total projected capital allowance claim of £149,678. So what that basically means is that you can earn £149,678,000 out of the property before you'll pay any income tax, which I'm sure that figure is. Now, if you look at the projected net letting income for this particular unit, so net letting income, that's the important thing. It's not the gross, because you only pay on tax on your profit. Then it's £34,338 annually. So if you divide £34,338 into your total allowance of £149,678, it will take you 4.36 years to use up that capital allowance rate. And you can write that down over however many years it takes to do that. So that assumes that your letting income stays roughly the same year on year. So you could potentially have 4.5 years virtually of tax-free income from your investment. Now, if you are a 45% income taxpayer, The real saving across that period to you in terms of cash is £67,355, which is a significant sum of money. I'm sure you'll all agree. You know, we've all got to pay tax, and we all pay our tax, I'm sure. But if you can save on some, it's perfectly legitimate. Then obviously it's a great way of doing that. Now, again, my understanding of this is that you have to make the property available to the holiday letting market for at least 210 days of the year. So it's available to be booked for that period of time. Of that period of time, you only have to book half of those days, 110. Now, you know, we know in reality that you should be doing at least 196 days based on 28 weeks. And in reality, we should be doing probably more than that now at 30 plus weeks if holiday letting is really taking off the way we can see that it is and the way we expect it to. So that 110 days is like falling off a log, quite frankly, and should be eminently achievable. So there are some really good savings to be made by exploiting capital allowance. Now, I'm not an expert in this field, but I know someone who is. So as and when you buy your investment, we will introduce you to the experts at STax who will talk you through your personal circumstances. It is important to stress here that you have to look at your personal circumstances as well, because if you're claiming capital allowance elsewhere already, that could affect, you know, what you can do on these particular properties here. The STax will do all the legwork for you. It will sort out all of the claim for you and deal with all of the paperwork for you. So it should be a nice, straightforward, simple process, and they'll be able to make the claim on your behalf. So all good from that point of view. So I think hopefully now, so far then, if we jump back and think about our agenda, we've been able to give you an idea on the yields and investments that are available at Byron. We've shown you some of the unique facilities that Byron has. We've talked to you about the projected incomes that is possible, and actually demonstrated that they are possible, because we know we've got some provable figures now through this service that already exists. Andy's talked to you about the financing of them and what the costs involved with that is, and what the potential rates of return on your investment are. So, you know, there's been some really good figures there. And then if we add in the capital allowance, it just hopefully helps to strengthen the argument as to why these properties make such a good investment at this time. So I guess you'd probably quite like to see what you might be buying. So we can walk you through the wonders of technology, a typical apartment at Byron, and just give you a little bit of an idea. Now, again, this is just one of the apartments available. There are other apartments that will be other sizes, and they'll have other orientations and other facilities. But it just gives you, hopefully, a pretty close idea as to, you know, what to expect within the Byron development. So if you can just bear with me 1 second while I get the walkthrough tour up on screen, and then I will literally walk you through an apartment and give you a pretty good idea. So there we are. So on screen now, well, you've just entered what is Putsborough 6 at Byron. So it's one of the typical apartments. It's a 2-bedroom unit located within the garden area of the development. So we just walked in the front door. So imagine yourself here. There's the hallway. So there we are. Look, there's the main entrance in. So we come in the main entrance, and you know, you've got all the doors leading off to your accommodation. So we'll take you down first up to the main living space, because it makes sense to start in there. So just entering the main living room now, you can see we've got nice communal sort of sociable living within these apartments. And again, that's important from the holiday home point of view. You know, nobody wants to be cut off in the kitchen while everyone else is enjoying themselves in the living room. So it does bring everyone together within the nice sort of sociable setup here. So you can see your lounge area down here. You've got access to a little balcony. You've got your kitchen area at the top end here. So just moving through into the kitchen. Quite a nice setup in this one with the island unit here. Just gives you a little bit of definition between the two areas. So the fittings throughout Byron are very typical of what you see here. The kitchens are all reasonably similar style here. So nice modern units, nice high gloss finish. You've got these nice sort of composite worktops here. The white colour, sort of very in tune with the beach theme. Lots of built-in appliances. You've got your ovens at the end here. You've got your hob and extraction. Nice sort of inset sink unit there. You've got washer dryers. You've got dishwasher, and you've got the fridge and freezers and things as well. So just panning around to give you an idea from this end of the room. And then this one's got this nice little niche here, which is perfectly set up for the dining table and chairs. So a 2-bedroom apartment, you'd probably base that on 4 people sleeping, 2 to a bedroom generally. So you've got plenty of space there for, you know, a family of 4, 2 couples sharing, multi-generations of family maybe. But a little internal sort of balcony here. I'll just click on the 360. So we're out on the balcony. So it's a little covered in balcony, and you see you can look into the nice landscape courtyard areas at the back here. So this is what I call the garden area of the development. So you've got a really nice open outlook into the courtyard there, which is very pleasantly done. So that's your main living space. I'll take you across now to your bedrooms. So you've got 2 bedrooms in this apartment, and it's set up as a double and a twin. So twin room in here, twin beds. Quite often with these beds, you can get these single beds that will zip together to form a double. So if you had 2 couples staying, again, it can be flexible in terms of its setup. All of the bedrooms in general terms have got built-in wardrobes. And the bedrooms are carpeted, whereas your main living spaces and hallways are generally the LVT, luxury vinyl tile type of finish. Wet areas are generally tiled, so your bathrooms here have got tiled floors. So this is the main sort of bathroom. There's an ensuite to the master bedroom as well, which I'll show you in a second, but typically white suites, nice contemporary fittings, nice tiling, good quality showers and all the like there. Difficult to show you much else in the bathroom really, just the size of the room, but give you an idea. There is an intercom system that you know, will be on the wall here somewhere. There it is. So you can talk to the main entrance door there to buzz people in if you need to. There's a little bit of storage in this cupboard here that you'll just see on my left, and then also in that cupboard you've got your hot water tank, and you've got an air recirculation system, which I haven't shown you yet actually. Within most rooms there are vents within the ceilings that will be part of the air recirculation system. So what it does, it allows air to be recirculated around the apartment. It will pump out stale air, put in nice clean fresh air. So again, if there are periods of time where the property is vacant, it still retains a nice sort of aired feel. And then there are boosting systems within the wet areas like your bathrooms to get rid of any steam within your kitchens and such like as well. So it works almost like an extraction come air conditioning come sort of air recirculating system here. So your ensuite in here, it's a shower, toilet and basin, all nicely fitted. And then you've got your master bedroom, which is set up as the double. So as I say, double and a twin. Built-in wardrobes again, you'll see here on the side. That isn't me, incidentally. That's the camera. So, you know, a nice size typical 2-bedroom apartment within the Byron development. So this one is very akin to the 3 Putsborough example that we've given you within the figures today. So, you know, typically a purchase price of something like this one is going to be in the region of 380, 390 to 400,000 pounds, depending on where you're situated within the development. So hopefully that gives you a nice idea as to what the apartments are all about. One final thing that I can show you as well actually is I can just show you a couple more pictures of some of the facilities and things within the development. You'll recognize this picture from the top of the presentation here. So that's the location relative to the beach. So you can see how close Byron is to the beach and the village centre and the amenities. So it's perfectly positioned for park the car, leave the car, go and walk everywhere. So if you want to have a drink in the pub, you can. There's the building. So all been beautifully refurbished to a very high standard, you know, done very, very well by the development team. The swimming pool complex is here on the side. And then you've got the main entrance just through here where I'm indicating. And then you've got your concierge. So we haven't talked much about the concierge, to be honest, but We've got the concierge who is there to look after the day-to-day running of the building, to point people in the right direction when they turn up for their holiday, to deal with any queries and problems, and always provide a cheery smile for you when you're in and out. It creates a community atmosphere within the development as well. You know, everyone knows everybody and will get to know everybody, and it's a really nice communal feel and setup there. There's the concierge, well, not physically, but that's where they will park themselves. And we've got a very nice reception area here. So when people do turn up for holiday, they're coming into a quality setup straight away. Someone's there to meet and greet, and they're there to be shown where their apartment is within the development. Swimming pool. It's a lovely pool, and you know, that's there for the exclusive use of the owners and their guests and holiday makers. You'll see the sauna at one end here. So again, the pool is there for use on, well, whenever you like, but certainly helps on a rainy day. Gymnasium. So we've got decent equipment in there, running machines, exercise bikes, rowing machines, the odd dumbbell or two. So you can work out. Spa and treatment room. So again, you can book your treatment and be pampered whilst you're down by the beach. We've got a games room, which again is exclusive for residents. So the games room sits actually very close to the restaurant. So, you know, if you've got the kids and the kids are getting a bit fed up of waiting for the food, then they can go in the games room and enjoy, or again, if the weather's a little bit iffy outside, the games room is there as a facility. The restaurant is very high quality, Brundle's restaurant, as I say, open 365 days of the year, producing some very good quality food, breakfast, lunch, dinner. There's a bar area that produces obviously whatever you fancy, but cocktails and all of those sorts of things as well. And you can see it's a nice open kitchen setup there as well. So it's quite a nice modern feel and a very high quality ambience that's created within the restaurant. Again, you'll see the chefs working away there in the background of the restaurant. The bar area, part of the bar area. And then again, looking at this fantastic terrace that Brundle's has at the front of the development there. So that terrace enjoys fantastic, fabulous views of the sea, pretty much the view that you've got behind me, to be honest, and some fantastic sunsets to be enjoyed of the evening as well. Car parking is plenty of car parking at Byron, so it's an underground car parking system. Every apartment has its own allocated space. You'll also see these little beach huts that you will notice at the back of the car park here. These are dotted around the development, and every apartment will have access to a beach hut. You'll be allocated a beach hut for storage, so beach equipment, surfboards, all the standard kit that you would expect to have at Byron and by the beach. Landscape courtyards throughout the development. So when we talk about the garden area, this is the garden area. So this building on the right here is the Woolacombe part of the development. We've got Putsborough in the middle, and we've got, Putsborough, yeah, in the middle, and then we've got Middlecombe over the far end there, and then the Woolacombe blocks are in the front. So it's really nice as you walk through the development to see the landscape courtyard areas, more beach huts and things here as well. And again, just another example of the landscaping and the beach huts that are available throughout the site. You'll notice there's been a lot of softening of the courtyards with some planting and things like that as well, which again just adds to the quality as you move around the development. So yeah, I think that hopefully gives you a really good idea as to what the development is all about. So just jumping back onto our agenda here, I believe we're back at questions and answers. So Carly, I think over to you. Do we have? I think we do have some questions that have come in.
Yeah, we have about 5 or 6 questions, Lee. So I'll just fire them at you if you don't mind. The first question is this a hands-free investment?
So I guess hands-free in terms of not having to worry about doing too much. What I would assume that's what the person means there. So yes, I mean you can be as hands-on as you like or not like, as the case may be. So if you buy an apartment at Byron and you're buying it purely for the investment purposes, you can pretty much hand it over to Olivia within the holiday let setup, who will sort of manage the process of letting it for you. So all of the marketing will be done to promote the apartment. They'll handle all of the bookings. They'll handle the sort of the day-to-day sort of looking after of the property in that way. They will deal with changeover cleans and things like that for you. There is a commission payable for the holiday rental service. That commission is extremely competitive at 12.5% plus the VAT. So if we compare that to standard holiday letting companies within the area, typically they're up at 18 to 20%. They'll add VAT on top of that, so then you're way above the 20% level then. And obviously you've got to remember that all comes off your bottom line that you take away from it, so it will affect your incomes and your yields. So at Byron, we've got a very competitive setup that will manage that process for you. So yeah, I mean, realistically, you can hand it over to them and everything will be dealt with. And the nice thing from your point of view is hopefully you'll see a nice drip feed of income into your account every month.
Brilliant, thank you, Lee. The other question that we have had in is, do you have any buyback scheme after 5 to 10 years?
No, is the short answer. So you know, you buy your investment, you pay your whatever your going rate price is for your apartment, and then it's yours to do with what you like. You know, resales in the future hopefully will be ever popular. I think the Byron development will grow in its popularity as we move forward, as it becomes more well known, as the number of bookings repeat year on year. You know, there will be people. Byron's its own market, in effect. You know, there will be people actively looking, I'm sure, for a Byron holiday in the future. It almost creates its own brand, I think, with its popularity, with its unique offerings. You know, we've talked about the swimming pool, the restaurant, the games room, the concierge, the in-house service. You know, all of those things set the development apart from other areas. So far, there has only been one resale within the building. So obviously the first sales took place a few years ago now. There's been one that's been resold, and that has resold, and it has resold very, very well. The return on investment in terms of the uplift in value is significant as well. So it's not just about what you earn from the property during your time of owning it, it is what you might be able to return on a resale as well. So there are no costs that you have to pay back to Byron as a development. They don't take a percentage of any uplift in value or anything like that at all. Everything you get back from a resale is yours to keep.
That's great. Thank you, Lee. So this question is about service charges, insurances, utility bills, etc., and obviously maintenance. Will that be able to come out of the rent?
Yes. So again, I'm assuming. Well, yes. I mean, we put some examples of where your income levels could be today from the apartment. So you'll see there's quite a significant amount that can be generated depending on which apartment that you're in. So your utility service charges, everything should be able to be covered quite nicely, from the incomes that you are returning. So Andy earlier on did a little bit on, return on investment, and that return on investment did include things like the service charge payments there. So the service charge payments are, or everything we put up on the screen there, included your ground rent, it included your service charge, and it included your buildings insurance premium, which are the main three things that obviously the Byron management team will take from you. Utility costs, it's only electric and water to be considering really within the apartments. There's no gas supply within the apartments individually. So let's just say your utility costs are, I don't know, 1,500 quid a year on top of that again. So it's, more than covered, I think, by the income that should be achievable from the property.
Okay, thank you. The next question I have for you is, do you have a sinking fund scheme in place?
Yes, obviously service charges are being collected all of the time. As more and more apartments become sold, then obviously more and more service charge will add to that sinking fund. So the sinking fund obviously is there for the good of the building. There's a number of services and a number of facilities available at Byron, and all of that needs maintaining, and the quality being kept to the high standards that Byron had set out, from the get-go. So that service charge will be there to keep those standards high for the foreseeable future. So sinking funds in place. Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant, thank you. And can you just explain the leasehold term for me, please, Lee? That's a question we've just had in.
Yeah, so all of the individual apartments are leasehold. Actually, it's important to say at this stage as well, they are restriction free in terms of occupancy. So we're not selling holiday restricted properties here. We're selling properties that are fully residential. So if somebody did opt to actually buy one to live in, that's fine, you can. So, you know, again, from the letting perspective, you can let them all year round, you know, assuming that people want to book them. So no problem there. So the leasehold term is 250 years. You know, the service charge, as I say, is levied accordingly. So yeah, so decent long lease there for everyone, 250 years, yeah.
Brilliant, thank you. And I think this is the number one question that we keep getting in when we do these events. Dogs are permitted?
Sorry, Carly, I lost you very slightly there.
Sorry, are dogs permitted, Lee?
Yes, yeah. So we recognise that the pet is very much part of the family, and you know, when you're down by the beach, yeah, I'm sure you want to bring your dog along. So yeah, pets are allowed. And the way it's dealt with, actually, and this is to safeguard everybody, so the lease will say that you can have your pet, you get a written consent for your pet, and that's a given on the understanding that the pet is well behaved and isn't going to cause a nuisance within the building. So you bring your dog along, as long as your dog's well behaved, not a problem. If your dog were to become a bit of a nuisance and bark and you know, do other things that were of detriment to the development and other neighbours, then there is the right to withdraw that consent. So again, that safeguards everybody, you know, moving forward. But yes, pets are allowed, not a problem.
Brilliant. And that concludes the questions.
Great. Okay. Good. Okay. Well, look, I think hopefully there's been a lot of information in there today, and I do appreciate that sometimes it's difficult to filter everything through in one hit. So we are here and available to ask any questions of. That's myself, that's Andy included as well. You know, if you need any help financially, any specific advice on mortgages specific to your personal circumstances, then Andy would be more than happy to, you know, tailor some quotations and things for you based on what you might want to do. Likewise with the Byron setup, you know, any other questions that you've got that you weren't able to ask today, we're on hand to answer any of those. Now, we've given you an example of what the apartments look like. Obviously, we're still in a lockdown situation at this present moment in time, and we've got to be mindful of the fact that people moving around the country at the moment is not always the greatest thing to do, but we can still conduct physical viewings. We are doing that in the strictest of circumstances, mind. You know, we do have to be very careful about who we come into contact with, both as our staff members and obviously to safeguard yourself as well. So we are screening everybody who wants to come and view, but you know, in terms of health and all of those sorts of things. But if you did want to come and have a look, we can facilitate that. So please do contact us, and we'll be more than happy to chat to you again about your personal circumstances and how that might work. But we'd love to hear from you. You know, there are a few apartments still to choose from and a few different styles to choose from. But they are selling fast. You know, sales are happening regularly. In fact, we've just tied up another sale today, which is good news. And those sales are very consistent. And I think people can see, you know, the value in the investment potential of them, and obviously for their own use as well. So all good from that point of view. So I think we'll conclude on there, unless there is anything else that's just come in at all, Carly. And you know, we'd love to hear from you, you know, further. So please do contact us. Many thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.